Is off-page SEO for iGaming different from other verticals?
Yes, I think that's one of the main things that you should check. The biggest mistakes are like going for the exact match domain and not actually doing anything outside of SEO. An iGaming website can potentially withhold more toxicity than, let's say, a medical website. Introduction of LLMs has changed things. The helpful content update when it first came out, it's actually very dependent on the ratio of your brand compared to your authority.
Is it hard in 2026 to hide your PBN?
Yeah, not that hard. I think one thing that I'm seeing with a lot of people is that they forget to have generic anchor text, and they forget to use LSI in their internal links because they think of it as a waste. One of the advantages is that you're actually building your portfolio as well, because that PBN is a part of your company evaluation. I think it's the really good way of getting authority very quickly. How are you tracking ranking on ChatGPT? You're using your ChatGPT and it learned things about you and what you like and what you want. And I'm using my own, and it still has a memory, and we're going to get different results for same prompts.
Hi, I'm Alex, the Managing Director at Odys Marketplace. Sell your domain campaigns. If you're looking to sell your age domains, contact us at Odys Marketplace.
We sell 91% of our inventory to over 50,000 verified buyers, and most of it are instant sales.
Contact us at the odys.global/marketplace and let's sell them fast.
Hello, welcome back to Odys podcast. We're here in Chiang Mai SEO conference, and my guest today is Darko Brzica. He's the multiple brand owner and the founder and CEO of Occam Digital. And our topic for today is off-page SEO for iGaming. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's
awesome.
Great being here.
Thank you. So what are the fundamentals of off-page SEO for 2026?
I think they're pretty much the same as they always have been. But I think there are a couple of things that are changing a bit slightly, mostly focusing more a bit on the branded side of things, more than we did in the past. So I think the only thing that's changing now in 2026, due to the appearance of LLMs, due to the appearance of AI and all of that, I think the focus is going to be more on branded keywords, on focusing off page on building a brand than just building exact match keywords or just authority.
Okay. And is off-page SEO for iGaming different from other verticals?
Yes. The main thing where it's different is that it's much more expensive.
Okay.
So generally, in iGaming, people will charge you, markups on their general prices when they're selling links. So backlinks for iGaming they tend to be more expensive. And there are differences when it comes to just doing it, but not too big. Differences aren't that big from doing anything else. I think the main difference, like when it comes to the way you're approaching it, might be just the toxicity levels. So an iGaming website can potentially withhold more toxicity than, let's say, a medical website. Just because the niche is like that. And when we take a look at iGaming websites on mass, they tend to have like more toxic links.
Any other changes, or maybe it's more challenging in other ways?
It's challenging in ways of getting like very high authority links without spending very high amounts of money. So, and also like doing natural link building is almost impossible. It's very difficult. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's quite difficult to just do anything naturally. There are ways to do it, but it's not as easy.
Okay. So has anything changed recently for off-page SEO?
I think the LLMs, the introduction of LLMs has changed things quite radically. The reason for it is mostly that a lot of people want to appear in LLMs as well. So a lot of people are trying to get in there, and it's very focused on the offsite side of things. For example, if you want to appear in LLMs, one of the easiest ways to do it is just to check the lists that the LLMs are scraping and try and get your websites on those lists.
Oh,
I would say that's the simplest
Wow.
simplest way
Yeah.
to present it, because LLMs are taking those lists from somewhere. They're mostly taking them from search engines, whether it's Bing, Google, or whatever, and they're doing some sort of amalgamation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say that made a big difference. And another thing that made a big difference is the helpful content update.
Okay.
And I believe we had like a lecture on the conference the other day talking about that thing. The helpful content update, when it first came out, people were very focused on content itself, but it's actually very dependent on links, and it's actually very dependent on the ratio of your brand compared to your authority. So if you have a very low brand signals, and you have high authority websites, so you have a large number of backlinks, you might get hit by a helpful content update.
Okay. So what are the biggest mistakes you see iGaming affiliates and operators do when it comes to off-page SEO?
No strategy. I would say that's the one of the main ones, that people are just pushing links without thinking about it, without any strategy behind it, without thinking about anchor text, without thinking about the authority, without thinking about the future, of the website and how it's supposed to develop. I think that's one of the things. Another thing that I'm seeing is wasting money.
Oh.
So a lot of people are just burning money. They're buying links here and there. They're spending a ton of money on links that they're not sure are actually working. So they're not doing any testing. They're not looking into which links are working, which are not. And I think that's very important, because it's a money game. When you're talking about offsite SEO, at the end of the day, it is a money game, especially in iGaming, and you really want to reduce the amount of money you're wasting, because sometimes I see people investing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in backlinks, and basically what they should be investing in is certain branded, brand mentions, PR text, stuff like that. It would help them more than another exact match anchor text.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just easier, right? When you have an employee and the employee has a task of link building, just easier to get a link. You go buy a link. You don't think about it, right? Whether it's relevant or whether it's branded. It's just simple.
Usually that's what happens, especially in big iGaming companies.
Yeah.
So I worked in some big iGaming companies before, and usually their approach to link building, their approach to offsite is a shotgun approach. So they would buy links in bulk. They would buy large amounts, and they would probably have someone who's very junior running that, because you. On one end, you don't need a lot of knowledge to go and buy a link, but I would say that you do need someone looking over the strategy. You do need someone thinking about where is this money going, and I think that's one of the main things that iGaming companies today should focus on.
Well, what do you think about optimizing the budgets in terms of maybe not necessarily throwing all the money to buying links, but for example, building PBNs? They may require more maintenance, but can be very profitable.
Yes, I think PBNs are great, especially if you have a large amount of assets. So if you're working with a large amount of websites, so if you have let's say 50 and plus different affiliate sites that you're running, PBN might prove to be a very good asset. The thing about PBNs is, like you said, it's a good asset overall. One of the advantages is that you're actually building your portfolio as well, because that PBN is a part of your company evaluation. So you're not just spending money, but you're actually investing in something that you might sell later on. You have an actual manageable asset with a PBN, which you don't have with backlinks. So that's one of the advantages of a PBN. I have sold PBNs in the past, created some, but there are some downsides. the cost of domains, the cost of high quality, good domains is going up. It has been going up for the past 5 years, especially if you want something nice, especially if you want something that's not super toxic, that hasn't been penalized, that, you know, something good, something live. So the cost of those domains has been going up quite a lot.
Yeah.
So buying the domains, that's one thing. Second thing is actually having the person do it.
Yeah.
So having people with knowledge to build out that PBN.
Okay, you can't have a junior doing that, right?
I don't think you can. Yeah, I think it demands a lot more knowledge and experience when it comes to picking the right websites and also defining on which ones you're going to do how, making sure you don't have any traces and stuff like that. And end of the day, like the hosting and all of that, that's just an expense that you have. It's not very difficult to automate that. But I do think like there are advantages, and I think it is cost effective in certain cases. And I'm always for like actually building assets into your company and diversifying it. And we've done that in the past in cases where like if our revenue went down, we could always potentially sell links on those PBNs.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, brand is becoming more important nowadays. PBNs can also help you with branding, right? You can use them in that respect as well.
Yeah. You can pretty much use them in a perspective that you want. They're good assets, and you have full control over them. So that's the benefit of a PBN. You can use them for branding, but it really depends. When you're in iGaming, like usually your PBN is not going to be very, like most PBNs that I've seen in the past, they're not very iGaming specific.
Okay.
So it's not just iGaming websites, because usually when someone buys an iGaming website, they're going to use it for like an affiliate or whatever. But so when it comes to branding, so and so.
Okay.
But yeah, you could potentially use it.
Like for the listicles.
Yeah, you could use it for listicles. You could use it. You could even use it to drive traffic. We had experiences where like a PBN started working great because you're writing content for it, you're pushing stuff on it, and it starts ranking. And you know, you might even could potentially drive traffic and so on.
So what's your advice when it comes to when should you build a PBN versus when should you buy links? Like, so how would you weigh?
I think buying links. So the way I do it, I buy high authority links. So I buy links from reputable websites. I buy links that my competitors cannot have. And I also buy links that I see my competitors do have in order to match their in order to get that signal from Google that I'm matching those competitors, and that's when I buy links. When it comes to PBN, PBN is a more long-term strategy. I think when you have an established business, when you have enough revenue, that's when you should start building a PBN, because you're basically utilizing the SEO knowledge that you have to increase the value of your company, your assets, and so on.
So how do you get links that competition doesn't have?
Well, mostly through backlink marketplaces. So I'm a co-owner in a marketplace called PressWiz. And a really good friend of mine, Dusan, he started it, and I've been using them since day one. And he's been kind enough to include me in the ownership structure. That's definitely one of the ways, because the reason why we started doing it is because we were buying all these backlinks from all these different sources. And then why not just make a marketplace? When you have good outreach, when you have proper outreach, then you can get links that your competitors don't have. Also, I think you should always go a bit deeper than just doing your typical link intersect and just take all the links that the competitors have. I think you should always go a bit deeper, a bit wider, and try and find those borderline cases. So like if you have an iGaming, maybe you can get a link from a very reputable e-gaming website or things like that. If it has some borderline topics towards casino.
Okay. But if you're buying from the marketplace, like a link marketplace, can't your competition check it out in your profile and like buy the same link?
Absolutely. Yeah, they can. That is very true, but that's the game. I think end of the day, marketplaces are just tools that allow us to do things quicker, faster, potentially invest less money or less time into something. I think when it comes to the strategy itself, I think that's where the person plays the biggest part. So absolutely, someone can look at my backlink portfolio if they know my website. Someone can take a look at my backlink portfolio and try and buy the same links from the same marketplace and things like that. But it's not the only strategy that I have. It's not the only thing that I'm doing. It's not I don't put all my eggs in one basket. So I'm going to do different things on different fronts. I'm maybe going to do some local citations, in order to push some of that branded signal and to strengthen that brand. I might do a bit of PR text. I might even create like a research of some sort and cite it in some like news articles and so on and so on. So I think every offsite strategy should be diverse, and you shouldn't put your eggs in one basket. When it comes to the marketplace, I think it's the really good way of getting authority very quickly, and pushing for that authority and getting those links quickly and up. But I think that the overall strategy is actually what makes the difference.
So how about also H domains as a strategy to get the links that your competition can't have?
I think H domains are a great strategy. I think they're being used now quite a lot, more than ever. And I think that's also a good way to get some of the links that your competitors don't have. And it's also a very good shortcut to authority. So if you're looking to rank something fast, if you're looking to go into a market, make your money and get out, I think H domains are great for that. And there's also so many ways that you can use them. You can redirect them. You can create a PBN. You can do whatever you want with them. I have been using quite a lot of H domains in the past. And there are some good places where you can find H domains. Odys being definitely one of the bigger marketplaces now. I've pretty much done it all, like from GoDaddy auctions to like specific marketplaces like Odys.
Yes, because there are different places. At Odys, for example, offer vetted domains that are already checked for toxicity. Yeah.
It's easier to do it. Like I said, I think the marketplace is a great tool. It saves you time. It saves you money. If you don't have to have a senior, if you actually look into it and you can have certain metrics that you can give to a junior to pick out specific domains, I think that's what makes quite a lot of difference, because I think saving time, saving money, that's the name of the game. If you can go with less time and less money to a spot where your competitors can get, that's what's going to make a difference.
So what is your framework for comparing link profiles to your competitors? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My framework.
How do you do that effectively?
So we've been doing quite a lot of automation there. So one of the biggest problems I had with effectively comparing link profiles is comparing the anchor text strategy. So the anchor text strategy is basically the context of a link building campaign. And being able to compare like what types of anchor text your competitors are creating, on what scale, at what rate, that's something that has been quite difficult in the past, but now we're using AI, it's much easier to do it. So classifying specific anchor texts, so that's what it used to take a lot of like time from a single person to go in a spreadsheet and like mark every specific anchor text, and now we can do it through AI.
Oh,
So it speeds up the process quite a lot. And I think that's one of the main things that you should check is the ratio of anchor text. Like how much
Really?
general anchor text are they using? How much, this and that. Of course, we're using Ahrefs for that, which is not very precise because you can't know if they disavowed some links.
Yeah.
You can't know things like that. And also it's not a complete picture. So I think Majestic has like the best, the most complete picture, but Ahrefs kind of does the job for it. And we analyze the anchor text, we pull it from Ahrefs and then compare different anchor text strategies and then look at like what works best. And then also into that, you have to include their content strategy as well, because it's not just about how many links they have towards them. It's how they distribute those links through the website.
True. And the internal linking.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So what tools do you use for the link analysis and like the competitor analysis apart from Ahrefs or Majestic?
Well, pretty much that's it. We use Search Console. We do a lot of analysis through Presswiz itself because it has some good features. What I always try and look at are buying links that from websites that already rank for like the keywords I want or adjacent keywords. So getting that, and that's a useful feature that we have there. And also like, just doing that competitor comparison. So through that. But other than that, it's primarily Ahrefs. And then, of course, we use a lot of LLMs. I use Manus quite a lot. So Manus is like an AI agent, and it's good in like analyzing data. And that's one of the best tools that I've been using recently. Also, we started building some of our own things in tools like Lovable, which is doing like that vibe coding thing, and building some tools for analysis there, which if they work, we might even push live on our agency website or somewhere and let people use it. But yeah. I would say like next to Ahrefs, where you can scrape the data of Ahrefs, Majestic. SEMrush I don't really like using that much, but I think that's more just a habit on my part. But next to those tools where you can actually scrape the data and pull all of that, we use tools like mostly the LLM tools have been proven to be quite useful for analysis.
And can you share any tricks to hide your precious links from the competition so that they cannot see it?
I mean, there are multiple ways. You can always block a rep spot, so you can always do that.
Is it worth doing though?
In all honesty, I don't think it is. People are still going to be able to find these links. So you might be blocking a rep spot, but the website that your link is on is probably not, because they want to sell. So Ahrefs will still see the link towards your website. And it's fine. It's not going to follow it, but it's still going to see the link. So I don't think it's worth doing that much. There are ways to do it. There are ways to cloak your website. There are things, but in all honesty, I don't think that. I think that that's more wasting your time on something that's not going to earn you money.
It's not going to benefit you as much as putting time to other things.
Yeah. And then focusing on other things, focusing on actually your SEO strategy and what matters. I think that's time better spent than trying to hide your links. I think most of the hiding links kind of stuff comes from the vanity that we have as SEOs. And we're like, we have our little toys and we don't want to share them with other kids.
That's my thing.
And so I think it more comes to that than actual you're hiding your precious links. But you should hide your PBN, like, for sure. That for sure.
That for sure.
Yeah.
Is it hard in 2026 to hide your PBN?
Yeah, not that hard. You can block all the tools there. You can. There are ways to do it. But you should hide your PBN. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's not like Google got better at detecting.
Oh, I
did
mean,
they?
Google's good at detecting PBNs as it always was. It's just that right now, you should hide your PBN from other SEOs. That's what I mean. Like, if Google can see your PBN, you're dead. If Google can figure out it's a PBN, then you've done something wrong in the beginning. So I assume that you've set up your PBN correctly. When you're setting up your PBN, you have to do all the trace and everything. It has to be on different hostings. It has to be on different IP addresses, not necessarily all of them, but at least a number of them. They cannot all be on WordPress. They cannot all use the same plugins. They cannot all have the same theme, things like that. So you have to do your homework. Like, that's the tricky part when dealing with PBNs.
Yeah.
Because you have to do a lot of it. But I think you should hide them from your competitors. And then again, like when I was doing that, I wouldn't do it on all of them, because that would be a trace as well.
Yeah. Yes. True. Yeah. So you vary.
Yeah. So some of them you would hide, some of them you won't, and so on.
See. Yeah, a lot of people like messing up with robot.txt file.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Yeah. I mean, that's a viable way to hide them. Just use a robots.txt file. You block the user agents for Ahrefs, SEMrush, and all the other ones. And you have to allow Google, of course.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think robots.txt file can also be a trace. I think anything that's on a scale, a singular a factor. So for example, if you have, let's say you have 2000 PBNs and your 2000 PBNs link to one website.
Yeah.
And they all have the same robots.txt.
Oh, yeah, not good.
Any type of machine learning algorithm would catch those.
Yes.
So that's my idea. I don't think that there's someone manually in Google checking those, of course, but any type of machine learning algorithm would probably catch that.
Yeah, with the tools we have now, with AI agents, right, it's much simpler to detect.
I think Google had that ability and had that machine learning ability way before LLMs and everything. Yeah, I think they're machine learning. I mean, that they are a machine learning company.
Yeah.
So I think they had that ability since 2011.
So what is your approach to interlinking, the internal links?
So internal links, I think you should look at internal links the same way you're looking at external links. So that's my approach. And my approach is like, you're looking at your individual internal pages. You're looking at them as you would look a guest post or a website or a PBN or something like that. And I think your anchor text strategy there is also important. I think one thing that I'm seeing with a lot of people is that they forget to have generic anchor text, and they forget to use LSI in their internal links because they think of it as a waste of internal linking. But I think it makes things look more natural and just makes more sense. Of course, you do your foundations first. You do the breadcrumbs, the footer, the main navigation, all that kind of stuff. But other than that, like when we're talking about internal linking, I think you should look at the amount of link juice your certain pages are receiving. So what is the amount of backlinks these pages are receiving? What is the DR of those backlinks that are pushing towards those pages? And then basically reverse engineering based on that, on which pages you should interlink and how.
Yeah, with anchor text, a big problem is the over-optimization, right?
Yes, it's more often than under optimization. So that's what I've been seeing, and even in the agency, we get clients coming in, and like one of the problems is like more often it's going to be over optimization than under optimization. Yeah.
Any other issues you notice with anchor text? Typical mistakes?
Yeah, people are not using LSI keywords. Basically things like that. But when it comes to anchor text, no, just the over optimization and pushing too much, and also not thinking of like images and utilizing alt text in images. So that's a very common mistake, something that people leave out. If you're linking an image, you should use the alt text as anchor text. So that's how Google will see it. So the image alt text will be your anchor text. And if you don't have it, you have an empty anchor. and not really doing much with that. But utilizing images in your internal linking as well is really smart.
Nice. So what about brand mentions and EAT? How important is it for casino brands this year?
I think brand mentions are becoming more and more important. Well, like I said, there are several reasons for it. One is, of course, the whole thing with the LLMs and so on. Although it's very questionable, and we'll see how AI will, treat casinos. How LLMs, because right now OpenAI is introducing certain restrictions into certain types of content, especially like medical. I think they're going to have their own version of, YMYL niches. So they're going to have their own version. That's just my assumption. But when it comes to like brand mentions, I think they are super important. I've seen websites move just by doing brand mentions, just by doing like cheap PR and stuff like that. Like very cheap PR campaigns, like, syndication type stuff. But I think that's important. And like I said before, the helpful content update. I think a lot of, especially affiliates, were very affected by that.
Yes.
And they were hit by the helpful content update, because it is difficult to build a brand, especially if you're an affiliate. So it's difficult. And a lot of websites that are out there that we're working are websites that are like, bestonlinecasino.com. And it's not very brandable. So it's not very brandable, but I think we're going to see a shift, potentially moving to more brandable domains. And we already have, like, I used to work in Catena Media, and I worked on As Gamblers, which is a very brandable domain. It's one of the bigger ones. And those types of domains, they're not going to die anytime soon.
So what are like the main mistakes casinos and affiliates make when it comes to branding?
Well, I think the main one is going after those exact match domains. So, because that's been such a staple, and the problem with exact match domains is that they still kind of work. So you can still kind of get results using exact match domains. But I think it's not sustainable. It's not something that's going to be long term. And you cannot create a long-term money-making machine with that. So I think that's one of the things. The other thing is like actually doing something outside of SEO for branding, doing like simple things, even basic stuff like meme channels. Just doing like your meme Instagram and just slapping your brand across that as a watermark or something like that. It has some effect. And you can still fake some of those signals. You can still fake some of those brand signals and so on. But basically, I think the biggest mistakes are like going for the exact match domain and not actually doing anything outside of SEO. Because if you get like 80 or 90% of your traffic just from Google, you're very prone to hits. You're very, very prone to hits. So diversifying your traffic just makes business sense. It helps with your branding. And just doing anything that you possibly can to improve your branding. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask you about the social signals. So are shares on social media like X mentions or Instagram, Facebook, off-page boosters?
I think they are. I think you should have your social media set up like as soon as you launch your website. So you should have your social fortress, how we used to call it, set up and everything there. We did do things like viral traffic in the past.
I wanted to ask you, does it still work?
Yeah. Everything still works. If PBN still works, so does this. It just like it might be a little bit different on how you're approaching it. So you can't have the same PBN you had in 2011. you cannot have the same type of PBN today. So you cannot have like 2,000 websites on one shared IP. And it's the same thing with viral traffic. It just depends on what you're using, where you're getting it from, and what you're trying to do with it. I don't think that social media itself, these shares and stuff like that, I don't think those things have a massive effect on SEO. They might have a bit of it. But what I do know is that the traffic you're getting from social media has a big effect. I think Google's tracking a lot of it through Chrome UX. So Google's tracking a lot of user metrics, and if you can get good quality traffic from social media, then I think that can do wonders for your website.
Okay. And as we found out from the Google leak, engagement metrics are one of the strongest signals for Google. Is manipulating those a good idea? What's your take on that?
Yes, I mean that's what you're doing with viral traffic, basically. So any type of fake traffic that you're sending to your website it works. It works. It doesn't work forever.
Yeah,
and it is expensive. So you have to think about, like I said, you have to think about cost effectiveness of certain things. If you're going to be spending if you're going to be doing viral traffic and you're going to be doing it continuously, because you kind of have to, because once you stop,
exactly,
it's kind of a negative signal.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you how to do it correctly.
Yeah, basically, once you start doing it, you're locked in. Unfortunately, how things are moving right now is like, in certain cases, you have to do it because your competitors are doing it and they have a competitive edge over you. Another thing is like what I used it for in the past. I used it for triggering re-rankings. So during an update, if I see my website dropping, I would push viral traffic, get some of those good user signals, those good engagement metrics, and then do a re-ranking of the site. That worked nicely. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a thing where you just have to continuously pay and you just have to push the traffic continuously.
And in such a competitive space like iGaming, you also have to deal with a lot of negative attacks, right? I heard it got like really tough in the most recent times.
Yes. There are a ton of different negative attacks. There are some that are really, really difficult to defend against. There are things like false DMCA claims. So those are quite difficult to defend against because there's just involves a lot of back and forth and so on. Then you have your typical spam, on the other spectrum of things. You have the Telegram links that every website has now, and especially casino websites. So all those basic Telegram spam links, I have been disavowing them regularly, even though I wasn't a big proponent of disavow tool, but I have seen some positive movement when disavowing those links. And there's been so many things. We had experiences of people like completely copying our website, using some JavaScript code. They like completely copied our content, everything, trying to rank with it. We had experiences with a bunch of stuff, DDoS attacks.
And like traffic manipulation, right? Sending the wrong traffic signals.
Well, yeah, especially like if we're talking about CTR manipulation.
Exactly.
Like, increasing your bounce rate or decreasing your engagement rate.
Exactly. How do you defend against that?
It's super difficult. So basically, I was actually talking with someone about it. There are ways to defend, but basically, I have to pinpoint that traffic somehow. And if they are using good CTR, it's very difficult to do because if Google can't figure it out, you're gonna have problems figuring it out as well. Because if it's good CTR, then they're using specific Chrome profiles. It's not a headless browser. It's very hard to get that joint factor where you can isolate them and filter them out.
Exactly.
And basically what you can do is figure out what's the time of day because usually people set it to a specific time of day. But even now, like some people have their own click farms where people with actual phones go and do it.
That's great.
And it's almost impossible to defend against. Yeah.
Yes. What are your ways to monitor against these attacks? Because I think it's very important to catch them early on. But how do you decide this is actually an attack versus maybe some natural...
Yeah, log files. You have to look at your log files.
How often do you check them?
At least on a weekly level. So depending on the website, of course, depending on how big it is and how much money it's making. But on a weekly level, for some of the bigger websites, we check log files on a weekly level. Yeah. It's not necessary to do it every day. I think that's a bit of an overkill.
Okay.
But we have some websites where we do it, like, for example, every Wednesday.
Yes. And that's your way to kind of
you're gonna catch some things there. You know, you give them a look. You look at that. You look at Cloudflare if there's anything suspicious there, things like that.
And talking more about the off-page signals, like what do you think about collaborations with like influencers?
So I haven't been doing that ever. I never done that.
Okay.
I think it is beneficial. I think if it's done correctly, but I think it goes more into marketing and not SEO specifically. I think it can benefit you, but I haven't done that.
Okay. And what off-page tactics can get you most efficiently into LLM results?
Which off-page tactics? Well, yeah, getting yourself in listicles. I think that's like the number one off-page tactic. Like if you get yourself in listicles, you're probably going to be ranking in LLMs. Other than that, like I said, pretty much brand mentions, things like that. LLMs have this also working a bit on your EAT, publishing stuff like having your author bio correctly set up is going to help ranking LLMs, because they do ask like who is saying this.
Okay. Yeah.
So LLMs that have that kind of a trigger where they're like, okay, who's the person behind this information? And is this information legit?
Yeah.
And actually having, like I was mentioning, studies or analysis of the market analysis, things like that, that you publish on your website. And you actually, have some of that EAT, that will definitely help with LLMs. Also, good trick where it's possible, if you're building guest posts and stuff, you can use the author bio of your own writers on your own website, so that they get more citations across the internet.
Okay. And what's your take on that? Whether do you think people will move towards LLMs for casino search, or the SEO will be like the main?
I don't think people are going to move to LLMs for search at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I myself am using LLMs for certain searches.
Yeah.
I'm using it for specific things, but I still think that most people will continue using search engines. Okay. Because that's what they do the best. And especially when it comes to casino, I think we're going to get some limitations on that. Maybe some specific LLMs will allow it, but I think...
probably depends on the LLM, right?
Yes. Yeah. Depends on the LLM. And also, as we know, players are kind of creatures of habit. Yeah. And they probably have, their own habits and how they're finding new casinos and stuff. Yeah. But I don't think casino is going to move too much into the LLM space.
Yeah, because nowadays you hear a lot, maybe not a lot, but some SEOs are really loud about threatening the end of Google and everybody transferring to LLM.
So ever since I started working in SEO, every year we had the clickbait SEO is dead. This year, that's it. no more SEO. And I think the stuff that's happening right now is just the same thing. It's just clickbait.
Okay.
You know, when we had the Panda update, it was like, oh, SEO is dead. You know, every time a big update comes, you know, oh, SEO is dead. There's no more point in doing SEO. It's not true. I think the LLMs, even though the adoption rate is quite high, and people are using them quite a lot, searching is actually, I think, per some research, searching LLMs in LLMs is like the 10th use case or 12th use case for LLMs. Most people actually use it for like mental health advice and stuff like that. That's another thing. Another thing is that the percentage of traffic that LLMs are generating towards websites is still incredibly small.
Yeah.
So that percentage of traffic, especially compared to Google, to search engines in general, it's incredibly small. And then we have, on the other hand, Google following up with like AI overviews, AI mode, all that stuff that's kind of like amalgamating both the LLM and Google into a single thing. So I don't think that there's going to be a lot of need for, and of course, anyone trying to sell AEO, GEO, that kind of stuff, they're just selling you SEO. It's just SEO. It's I guarantee this. It's nothing else. If you do your SEO correctly, you'll show up in LLMs. That's it.
So it's much better, especially for casinos and affiliates, to focus on this channel.
Yeah, just focus on SEO. Like if you're doing your SEO correctly, maybe just like I said, mostly because of the helpful content update, but just focus a bit more on the brand.
Okay.
You know, on the branded side of things. And that's the only shift that I'm seeing. Other than that, I wouldn't go too crazy.
Okay.
I wouldn't be like, oh, you know, put all of our money into, you know, ranking on ChatGPT, because what does it actually mean? How are you tracking ranking on ChatGPT? You're using your ChatGPT and it's learned, you know, things about you and what you like and what you want. And I'm using my own. Yeah. And it still has a memory. And we're going to get different results for same prompts.
Of course.
You know, for certain prompts, we're going to get the same results, and that's fine. But like even all of these AI tracking tools.
Yeah, a lot of tools offer the option right now. It's like the best, you know, advertised features of all the tools nowadays.
Yeah. I've been to some conferences lately, and it's like 70% of all the booths and everything were like tools for tracking AI. Yeah. Which I think is fine, but like it's a matter of time when, you know, Google's going to introduce some of the AI tracking into Search Console or in some other way. Yeah. I think it's a matter of time when OpenAI is going to introduce some sort of tracking and some sort of business suite to their users. In a sense of like actually having some data from OpenAI about your brand, how many times it's mentioned, and so on. So basically, their business model is based on the fact that they still haven't done it yet. I don't think is the best business model, to be very honest. And I apologize to everyone who has their own AI tracking tool, but this is just my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So in your opinion, what are the most important off-page SEO trends that you see coming up in the future?
Like I said multiple times in this talk, I think brand, focusing on brand diversity, I think that's gonna play a bigger role. I think some of those EAT factors are also gonna play a role. So doubling down on using actual people, having actual content writers, signing them on your website, having their author bio set up and everything. So I think that's gonna play a big role. And other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darko, for
Very welcome.
sharing.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed it as much as I did, follow Darko on LinkedIn and subscribe to our Odys channel to get updates about more episodes like that. Thank you.
Thank you.